Hello, my name is Doreen Ellen Beldotan in Israel. A very respectable criticism of my videos was leveled at me by a few people, and I'd like to address it because it's important and explain. It seemed to people that in one video I said there are no other planets. And then in my last video I was talking about other planets. And I can well understand that it seemed that I was contradicting myself. I'd like to explain myself herein. Before I do, I'd like to explain why there are going to be misunderstandings. First, the time constraints. I don't have hours and hours to explain a lot of information. I have to get it in less than a half an hour. And two, I'm familiar with my thoughts, which are not common thoughts, and so I'm not always very good at bridging the gap between the way I see things and the way other people have been taught to see things. So sometimes my self-expression is going to be lacking. I don't mean to diddle you. If there's a misunderstanding, please understand that the misunderstanding is some kind of either a fault on my part or just a misunderstanding. But I'm not trying to diddle you. Let me explain myself now, please. If we have a crystal vase and it falls and it shatters, do we then have a bazillion crystal vases? No, we don't. We have shards. It is exactly the same thing with what is in space. When we understand what space is a little bit better, we'll understand that what we're looking at are not separate planets. They are shards of what should be one solid consciousness. It's exactly the same way when we break the crystal vase. We still have all of those pieces, right? And if we were to zoom out, we would see a whole bunch of sparkling things and think that each one of them were integral in and of themselves. We wouldn't understand that they're actually shards of something that was broken. Well, this is exactly what we're looking at when we look into space. We're looking at the physical representation of our consciousness having been shattered. When our hearts get broken, and all of us are dealing with a broken heart, that shatters the consciousness, because the pain of having a broken heart is so great that we have to dissociate from it. And the way in which we dissociate from that pain is by creating the illusions of time, space, distance. These are all pain managing techniques that the mind uses. This is an excellent opportunity for me to talk about an issue that has become very widely spoken about. Is Earth round? Is Earth flat? It is neither. And the questions like that arise from a lack of understanding of what space is. Science proceeds from the supposition that things exist in and of themselves, and that we can but comprehend that which they are. Apprehend, actually, would be a better word, because they see the comprehension of things as gaining mastery of them, thinking that there are things in and of themselves. But at the same time, Heisenberg correctly, if not completely, understood that the viewer impacts on that which is viewed and changes it, so that the actual viewing is what they now call the quantum collapse and makes it into a given thing. That being the case, the quality of the viewer is necessarily going to impact on that which is viewed. So science wants you to act and believe as though things exist in and of themselves, because that empties you of your power. What I want to try to do is get you back in touch with what space actually is, so that you can gain mastery of it. And I have no fears of doing that, because I know that knowledge is a result of growing in morality. One of the mistakes that scientists make, they think if you're bright enough and you're complicated enough, you can understand things very well. No, all you do is create illusions that are very, very, very intricate. Knowledge is the direct result of our moral level. In Hebrew, the word skin is called O. Ayin Vav Resh. Ayin Vav Resh is exactly the same letters as the word Iver, which means blind. The skin causes us the blinding illusion that we stop at this point, that there is our inner world and there's an outer world, there's an outer space that is other than us. If we were to shrinky-dink ourselves down to the point of being, I don't know, half or a tenth or a hundredth the size of one of the pores in our skin, it would become immediately apparent to us that there is no inner and outer. There is only space. There is only what there is. It's not that there's only space, but there is only that which appears to be contained in space. That is what it is. I'm going to try to actually remove the illusion of space, of distance. We're going to try to, the more we get in touch with ourselves, we'll find that distances also are reduced, the appearance of distances. Space, all of the planets, the suns, all of the different movements, apparent movements, are the physical representations of our own mental and emotional states. And that is what I was talking about, Earth being the physical expression of trustworthiness, of being reliable. That is the theme of this learning that we're doing, which takes on the appearance of an entire world to us. We even speak in terms of space as being very much like our own consciousness, because we understand on some level that space and consciousness are one and the same thing. We speak about things, people and objects in space, being bright, being luminous, collapsing, expanding, contracting, nebulous. All of these terms are applied both to spinning out of control. All of these terminologies are applied both to emotional and mental states and to physical bodies, because on a very basic level we know that they are one and the same. But by having dissociated ourselves from so much of ourselves, it appears that we are looking at other bodies. In that sense, there is no other. There is the illusion of other that we have created because we have broken hearts. And if we integrate that, we will necessarily integrate space and start to bring it under our control. Most people think that they are under the influence of the stars and the planets, having no idea whatsoever that quite the opposite, it is we that are directing their movements. When we think, we set the stars in motion. It's exactly the same thing. The wheels of the mind are the same thing as the orbits of the bodies in space. To the extent at which we have that under control, to the extent at which we have our mental and emotional states under control, we necessarily have all of the astronomical bodies under control. Those who want to control you want you to think that you are under the influence of that which you yourself are creating. That is exactly what idol worship is. There is no difference between fashioning a statue with your hands and then bowing down and serving it, and creating luminous bodies in space with your mind and then checking the astrological charts to see how they're affecting you. That is the worship of the stars, not knowing that you're creating them. In order for you to know how it is that your mind and your emotions, emotions, that which you are setting in motion, is doing, you must gain moral mastery of yourself. And this is precisely what those who are running Babylon don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that Earth, which is the heart of the creation itself, is your body. They want you to think your body stops at your skin, because that way you can be robotized. I'm trying to get you to a place where you understand who and what your real body's extensions, members of your body, your extensions are, so that you can bring them under control. And I know that you can never get there unless you become morally exacting. And I also know that you can never get there so long as you believe in all kinds of idols. As long as your mind is in any kind of a groove, you cannot get control of your mind. You have to be able to come above your mind and observe your mind and then get it under control. So what happened was, people understood from photos from NASA and from other things that they observed, that what they were being told about the astronomical bodies, including Earth, was not correct. What happened is as soon as you broke out of the model of thinking that the planets are spheres, immediately they sent in the damage control machine, right? And got you to thinking that if Earth isn't round, therefore it's flat. Instead of allowing you to evolve into a higher level of understanding, they grabbed you quick and devolved you back into thinking that the Earth is flat. The Hebrew Torah, to which you are not privy, in no wise says that either the Earth is flat or round, or no, it does not say any of those things, because those that were who Hashem dictated those books to were in a far higher state of consciousness than I am. If I know what I know, they certainly knew that Earth was neither round nor flat nor so forth and so on. You are misinterpreting what they wrote, and you're not even privy to what they wrote. What you have is a fourth generation translation of rabbinic intentional and unintentional misinterpretations of the Hebrew Plus you have no access to the numerical underpinnings of the Hebrew language, without which Hebrew cannot be understood correctly. So people have sent me all kinds of quotes from the Old Testament, the New Testament. You don't have any testament. These are the, don't send me comic books. I learn Torah, you don't. You're learning Marvel comics. The earth is neither round nor flat. Our thoughts set the stars and the planets in motion, and the higher our consciousness gets, the more that integrates. All of the names in Hebrew of the planets are contained one within the other, and yet it's not exactly the same name. The value of the word makom, which is place, is exactly the same thing as the value of the word shemot, which is names. So placing something and giving it a name, the sham of where it is, the where of where it is its place. So if the names of the planets are contained one within the other, what that means is they're in the same kind of a, the closest thing would be, I guess, would be in modern terminology, like a quantum cloud, that they're contained one within the other. The Hebrew word for kochav is equal to 48, which is the name of Mercury. The name of Mercury is a star. And then Noga, which is Venus, is Mercury plus another 10. Madim, which is Mars, begins with a mem and ends with a mem sofit, and a mem and a mem sofit, I've already said, is Shemesh. So these bodies are all actually contained one within the other and should be experienced as one within the other. And yet, at the same time, it doesn't all become one mishmash. Each retains its own integrity while being mutually contained and containing one another. That is cosmic consciousness. You are trying to understand the cosmos without doing the moral work of getting into cosmic consciousness. And then you're trying to tell me that my prophets who were in cosmic consciousness said that the earth was flat or round or whatever it is. Who are you to judge their conceptions? What I suggest you do is do the moral work that will allow you to be able to, rather than having all of your thoughts and your emotions going off in other orbits, and that's why when you look in at the space which you think is something else, you don't even realize you're looking in a mirror. Look now, if you were to look into a mirror that either magnified you 10,000 times or minimized you 10,000 times, you'd likely not recognize that it was you that you were looking at. Well, that's exactly it. You're looking into the infinite mirror. You're nowhere near infinitely moral, and not realizing you're looking at yourself and you're making all kinds of comments about what? I'm trying to give you the tools that you need to really get a grip on yourself. Because as Voltaire said, if somebody can convince you of the absurd, they can convince you to commit atrocities. And that is absolutely true. If you are prepared to ascribe to God that God committed infanticide, suicide, to ordering it to fix the world, but yet and still we're living in a world in which their children are being sold, but the world is fixed because the Messiah was here, because he committed suicide, because he was God, because if you're able to believe these kinds of crazy ideas, of course space looks spaced out to you. You're spaced out. You have no idea who you are. You have no idea who God is. You're making all kinds of wild assumptions. and the money makers are look at you like easy pickings. I'll be honest with you. When you are so totally out of control like that, you're easy pickings. You're easy prey. Let me tell you something, folks. Somebody accused me of being associated with somebody I've never heard, and all I want is money. Darlings, for what I know, which is only a drop in the ocean of what my teachers know, for what I know, all of the people that you call the Illuminati, they would give everything they own in their right ball to have what I have. I don't need your money. Do not insult me. There is no price for what I'm giving you. What I want you to do is get control over your own minds to understand how you have been fractured from yourself, and I want you to be in control of your mind, not running after your mind. So if you're looking at that which your own mind is creating, not realizing your mind is creating it, your emotions are creating it, you're looking at it as though you think it exists objectively in and of itself, and you are going to discover what is true about it in and of itself. You are literally lost in hyperspace. I'm not asking you to trust me because I know you've been diddled again and again and again. I cannot bear all of the weight, all of the infinite mass that each one of you bring when you try to attach yourselves onto me. I don't want to be your teacher. I will be some of your friends. I don't want you asking me questions on Facebook using silicone that you should be asking Hashem, that you should be asking yourselves. What I want from you is to engage God for real. Do not call God Jesus, because every time you call God Jesus, you put a on the line, you know, like it's like, ooh, all right, I'll answer because this person, you know, needs my help. It's like, ooh, kind of thing. Don't do that to God. Just talk to God directly, the way you would to a friend. Talk to God the way you would to the wisest person in your family. Okay? The person that you love the most and that you revere the most, that you trust the most, that you feel the closest to, talk to God that way. That is real prayer. God does not want to be your Lord. I don't want to be your teacher, and God for sure doesn't want to be your Lord. You start talking to God as Lord, and it says so in Torah. You'll stop calling me Lord, and you'll start calling me Ishi. You start calling me, it's translated as husband, but it literally means my own self. So talk to God the way you would your most trusted friend, your most revered elder family member, and say, this is what's in my heart. I do not understand this. I feel broken. I feel this pain. I feel that pain. Just talk to God. Establish that relationship, and then you will begin to be shown the moral steps that you must take in order to reintegrate your consciousness. But understand this. You are supposed to get to a level where you are the influencer and not the influenced. And any mode of thought that takes your power away from you, that doesn't empower you, that disempowers you by making you dependent upon a way of thinking or dependent on objects for you to understand them, all of that is leading you in the entirely wrong direction. So please don't ask me any questions that you should be asking Hashem. And the correct way to pray is actually talking to your best friend. That's real prayer. Thank you for listening.